Welcome to a presentation powered by sales and marketing consulting firm, Hylton Elite Marketing Agency, a national-based consulting firm that helps corporate brands increase their customer base and community presence in urban areas. And so what I want to do is talk about my journey from from serving as a candidate for City Council in Metro Nashville, to becoming what I would call what I learned, a statesman, and what that looked like. So I had on my journey, meaning a journey of running for office to be an elected official, and going through that journey with me being okay and bought into becoming what I would call a statesman. And that's someone that is representing your community to a lot of degrees from a civics standpoint, but without the red tape. And we'll jump into that shortly. So today's focus, though, with this presentation is to help you just get a more awareness and a better understanding, especially if you're running to serve as a candidate, as an elected official, or you're a local resident or a resident that wants to be seen as a community organizer to help provide insight, access, and resources, especially when it comes to civics, or also known as politics. And so again, the focus for this presentation is to just make you aware of how you can best engage with voters at the local level. How do you build support for what you're doing, and how do you mobilize a community? And we're going to talk about what that looks like. And I thank you for following my Facebook and YouTube platforms by going to those respective platforms on Facebook and YouTube and typing in vote for, numerical number 4, Danavan Hylton. So again, we won't take too long. We're going to talk about just my overview, my background, my story, some of the challenges and opportunities that I recognized and experienced and went through, the weaknesses and threats, especially during campaigning or just serving as an elected official, or even community organizing, what may pop up, the solutions and my expertise to those solutions. How do you implement those solutions? And as we're implementing those solutions, what are the key performance indicators to let us know we're moving in the right direction? Definitely want to make sure, again, that you are subscribing and hitting that bell button when it comes to my Vote for Danavan Hylton YouTube channel. And I'll end with, again, just the overall view of the lessons I learned during my civics journey, which is, Lord willing, still going to continue, and how you can get in touch with me. So let's go ahead and do it. So overall, I did not start out being a politician. I didn't have any aspiration of becoming a politician, if you will, or really engaging in civics at that matter. Didn't really know what it was. Frankly, didn't care. And so, So I was introduced to civics and serving as a politician in politics because I had moved from one state to another state unhoused, and moved in with some soon-to-be family members. That's another story. And while I was going through that transition and moving into the state, I moved into a certain part of Nashville that is developing or a working neighborhood. Some may call a low-income neighborhood or community. And I love the fact that these residents tried their best to provide various social resources and services, as well as access to local residents that were going through hard times socially, housing and food, education, just activities for kids to do, all that, And so ultimately, it was because of those reasons I decided to, and I like what the residents were doing, I decided to volunteer my time and talent and to help fundraise or just volunteer for different activities, or help create strategic partnerships, help with media relations, and let the media know of activities going on that were with the organizations that I helped advocate and work with, to the point where someone came to me and said, Danavan, the election's coming up for city council and you're already doing the work. The current elected official, who's the incumbent, is termed out and cannot run for office again. And I think you'll be a great candidate to serve as the council member for this district. All these the words that were being spoken to me at the time were foreign words. Didn't know what they were talking about, but at the same time, I knew it was an opportunity, and I felt like I could make a bigger impact, through this opportunity. And so I did consider it, and I did end up running for office, which you see in the picture there with the yellow picture. That's my campaign sign, my yard sign right there. And that's what I was passing out. I ended up running for office. And I didn't win, but when the runoff started, which basically is like the top two candidates that didn't get 50% or more, 51% of the votes or more. If you don't get 51% of the votes or more in Metro Nashville at that time, you did not automatically win. But if there were two candidates that received the top two votes, but they did not get 51% or more, it would be just a runoff in which it'll only be votes another few weeks down the line after the election day. If it was a runoff, then they'll give you a few more weeks so that residents can go back and vote for the remaining two candidates, if that makes sense. And so ended up did not make the runoff, and one of the candidates who ended up becoming the elected official pulled me to the side and said, "Danavan, I'm in the runoff, and if I happen to win, I would love for you to take my elected official seat and position as the executive committee member for the Davidson County Democratic Party." I didn't know anything about that, never heard of it. I've heard Democratic Party, never heard of executive committee member and what they did. What caught my attention was the soon-to-be council member said, "Danavan, you have the ambition. We need more young folks involved. You're new to town. In these neighborhoods, people need to know who you are and your background. A lot of the voters are elderly or more mature, so they got to know who you are. Did you go to high school with them and things of that nature? They don't know who you are. And so by you serving as an executive committee member, it allows you to become an elected official and just kind of see what that process looks like. Two, it allows you to get a deeper relationship with the constituents in your district as an elected official. And three, we can work together since we'll both be elected officials for this district. This person being the person talking, being the actual council member for the district, and me serving as an elected official and serving as a liaison for the Democratic Party in that same district. That allow us to work together and build a close working relationship. And so that was something that I was really interested in doing. And so I ended up joining the Democratic Party for Davidson County and serving as an executive committee member. At the time, I was a director of marketing for a director of marketing and community engagement for a staffing company, and I was a former director of admissions for a career college. In addition to me providing community service and volunteer work in the community, so those were kind of the platforms that I had that I used as far as the basis when I ran. I had experience in a director's position for post-secondary education and what that looked like. I had experience with employment recruiting to help people get jobs. And of course, the work I was doing community service-wise, that just kind of gave me the background of why I should run for office. And by trade, I'm a sales representative, salesperson, and a business developer. So I just felt like these were great opportunities for me. And so when I went through this process, my challenge would be to focus on, changing the mindset of young adults when it comes to civics, when it comes to politics, which meant that I would have to help change the culture and the environment of civics and politics, which a lot of young people didn't really gravitate to, and because they felt like maybe it was just division and immaturity. I get it. Why do I need to get engaged in something that's really not talked about in school like that? And it may not have no benefit to me, especially when you're maybe in an urban area or underserved area, and you don't really see the same resources that may be on the other side of town. So I wanted to use this opportunity of running for office as a candidate to be a Metro Council member, and then eventually becoming an elected official through the Davidson County Democratic Party, which is the greater Nashville area. These were the ways that I felt that I can help bring unity, bring more stimulation to young adults to get more involved in the political process. When I say young adults, I'm saying those at least 18 years of age to at least 35 years of age. So that's that's the background there. I just want to, and I have a collage here, and in this collage, it indirectly shares my civics journey of when I decided to, and if you see the green background or the green side of the collage that says background, the top left, that's the picture of some of my campaign team members, friends, mentors, supporters that I was working with on a personal level as far as community service that said, hey, Danavan, you should think about running for office. And these are the individuals that helped me. Matter of fact, the gentleman that actually introduced the idea of me running for office is right there in the middle of the picture, my friend Hamid. And he actually served as my campaign manager. Very wise individual with great counsel. And I use his counsel to this day in my personal life and my professional career. And so now my campaign is jumping off. I have a picture there right under on the second row of at my first campaign debate in which other candidates were running for office were there as well. So I took a picture of me behind the table with the other candidates. And if you see in the picture behind the table, there's a picture. The person that's taking the picture was taken by me, so I'm not in the picture. But there's a gentleman, Caucasian gentleman, in the middle of the picture there, who was running for office for the first time to be a council member for their district. Their district was 19, I believe. My district was District 2, the second district of Nashville. And so we're running for the first time together. We're talking about, our passions and why we wanted to run for office. And this individual ends up winning the council seat. We remained good friends, and I congratulated him. And I still continue to do community engagement work, especially through the party and then on the side on my own. And I saw this gentleman for 8 years pretty much win his first term and then was reelected for his second term. And by the time I made this video, he's now the mayor of Nashville. And so I just want to give you the intimacy of what was going on here. And I wanted to just capture my journey as I went through. I'm sitting next to people that are running for office, building good relationships. The picture right next to it is a picture I took of me looking at the constituents and the residents, because they were there to watch what we were saying to see if they wanted to vote for us. So I took a picture of me behind the table, and I took a picture of the people looking at me, so you can get a feel of what it looked like, especially as I went through my first campaign debate. And so I have a picture under the third row there, a picture of me doing my first campaign speech, and that was at the church where I was married and baptized at, and I served as the men's ministry leader there for 3 years. And so I thought that was very interesting and a good. Now I didn't know at the time that the people that attended the church all did not live in my district. I just felt because the church was in my district that the people must live in my district, and so therefore I was giving my campaign spiel to the individuals as if they were going to vote for me. And as I got more mature in the process, I looked back at this picture and I realized most of these folks did not live in my district. They were about maybe 5-10 minutes away, but that was a different district. And so they couldn't vote for me. But I remember me still giving a passionate speech, if you will. And the people actually saying, well, hey, Donovan, if we lived in your district, we would vote for you over time. And so there's a picture in the third row, a picture of me. I have a white suit dress shirt on with a tie. There's a gentleman next to me with a bat in his hand. And that was because it was the groundbreaking to a commercial building being developed. And that's the actual council member, the person I ran against, who actually became the council member DaCosta Hastings. And he's been a great friend, mentor, supporter of mine since day one. And I just thank him for opening the doors for me to say, Donovan, hey, think about taking, my seat as the executive committee member of the Davidson County Democratic Party, so that way you can get some experience. I really appreciate that. So I'll go through I don't know if I told you, but don't know if I said in this video yet, but so I go in, I get sworn in as the elected official or the Davidson County Democratic Party executive committee member for Nashville's 2nd District. I go to the meeting, I get sworn in, so now I'm an elected official. And the next vote was, now you're a committee member, but the next vote is, let's go ahead and put who's going to be the organizational leaders. And so come to find out, I was voted that day to become, and there's a picture of me, my first day at my Democratic Party meeting, and there's a backdrop of the Davidson County Democratic Party backdrop and sign. That was my first picture the day I got sworn in. And a few minutes later, I ended up becoming voted the regional vice chair of the Davidson County Democratic Party. And so as an executive committee member, I oversaw Nashville's 2nd District when it came to the interest of the Democratic Party, meaning I would support those in office already as a Democrat, support those that are running for office as a Democrat, and the way you support them is by helping to fundraise, helping to make phone calls, get people out to vote, help people get registered, help people become more aware of the candidate, the Democratic cause, and everything of that nature. And so I had a chance to participate in a lot of activities, led a lot of activities where I hosted and organized meet and greets, opportunities for elected officials, for Democratic Party to speak. And these are things that hadn't been done in the districts, in the regions that I served, because they were not for any reason, but these are more Black and brown based. And, the team that I had, or the executive committee members that I worked with, had a lot of experience in civics. A lot of them were elders. And so even though I was in the regional vice chair position, I still had to learn about civics. So I had a chance to work with a lot of people that were passionate about the Democratic Party, were passionate about civics, and I learned a lot, and they gave me the perspective. And as I was voted the regional vice chair, I was then the representative or the liaison between the chairperson and the vice chair, the liaison between them and 7 councilmatic districts in my region. So each region has, let's say, 5 to 8 councilmatic districts. So I was the executive committee member for my district, which was District 2. But in my region, there were 6 other executive committee members. And you have a male executive committee member, and you had a female executive committee member. So you had up to 14 executive committee members in your region. And as the regional vice chair, I was the one responsible and accountable to the vice chair and the chairperson for the affairs and activities and interests in my region. And so those that taught me also basically reported to me and requested things in which I would have to go to the regional vice chair and the chair to get taken care of. And so I was the spokesperson, if you will, for my region. And nobody was over the other. We were all executive committee members. But when you are now an official elected committee member, now you have to vote to see who's going to be the chair, the vice chair, your regional vice chairs, your treasurers, your secretary, things like that. And so I was in an executive position right off the bat, and for 3 years. So I gained a lot of experience overall over time. As elected officials came and went, I was still in my position. So with me really breaking barriers, providing more access for the Democratic Party in urban areas to young adults, putting elected officials in a position to get more buy-in, I started to create value for myself, and the party started to see value in what I was doing and seeing the future that I could have, helping to engage. And so over time, people saw me as, hey, you want to run for office, you got to go talk to Danavan. Even though I'm still learning, but the position I was in and what I was doing as far as activities, it just gave people the perception that you have to go talk with Danavan. And that was an experience in which I had to walk in a leadership role. I had to really, represent myself, be an ambassador to the brand of the Democratic Party, because the party is trusting me to represent their brand and not do anything personally or professionally that will make the brand look bad, if that makes sense. So you're like an elected official, or you're like a pastor. Like something goes down, the people are going to get on a pastor or elected official a little more because of the accountability. So I had that kind of accountability on me as an elected official. And so one of the things I want to say is, if you do not want that accountability on you, do not run for office, because you're going to have to walk in a different way. You got to be mindful of what you're doing, who you're talking to, what you're talking about, especially these days where technology is so accessible that a camera can be on you at any moment. You really got to be wise in all that you do. So over time, again, when it came to just the authority position I was in and how people, recognized me, I ended up just being that go-to person for residents, for elected officials, for those end up running for office. I participated in various campaigns, was invited to various activities by elected officials. Those that are now a staple and a foundation and a longtime elected official for their district in the Middle Tennessee area. I remember when they were just running for the first time, very rookie, very new, and they came to me and was like, Donovan, hey, what's the best way to do this? And now, years later, they've been in office for so long that they're kind of like in a position where they're that person, where you wouldn't know, they know, but that you wouldn't know that, I was there to assist them, or were with them before they got, or was in this position before they got started, and they would come to me for various insight, resources, and access. And so, being in a position that I was in, again, when you have the more elected officials that come and go, the longer you're there, the more of an authority figure that you become in these individuals' eyes. And so, as I got to a point where I started to build this name and brand, I really wanted to start connecting with the other side of the aisle. And I just felt like I really couldn't do that as best as I wanted to in the position that I was in. I wanted to follow the policy and the procedures of the Democratic Party. And so I did not run for reelection, even though I felt like I would definitely be a shoo-in for reelection. And if I wanted to actually run for vice chair or chair of the party in the new term, I would have been in a good position to actually get elected, because I did so much. Phone calls, knocking on doors, registering voters, helping to set up and take down, building relationships, bringing in community leaders from urban areas into the party to guest speak or to do different things. Those things were happening. But I wanted to do more for my community, and I recognized there's two major parties. I had a good relationship with one party, didn't have the best because I didn't have access like that to the other party. So I decided not to run and be seen as an independent, and really have the heart of an independent, in which I felt like I was not beholden to a party if I wanted to go talk to anyone else. And I used the fact of me being a regional vice chair, a former regional vice chair of the Democratic Party, as some type of experience I had when I went to the other side of the aisle to build relationships. And so there's a picture here. I have a pink shirt on. I have my thumbs up. I have a pink shirt on, dress shirt. My wife's in the middle, and there's a Caucasian dude to my wife and I's right. And this gentleman here is Bill Lee. At the time, he was a candidate running for the state of Tennessee governor position, and he was just a candidate. And that was actually my first conservative event I went to. He was doing an open house in a rural area. So here I am as a former Democratic elected official that did a lot of work in the municipality and metropolis of Nashville. Now I'm going to a rural area in a conservative area with my mindset, if you will, from the Democratic side. And I went in there with my camera to record. I took pictures. And then the whole time I was recording, I was thinking, dang, I wonder if my Democratic friends happen to see me doing this, what they would say. It was kind of scary. But I wanted to follow my heart, because, again, I want to make sure the residents that I represent and work with were able to have access to both sides of the aisle, if you will. And so over time, I started to build relationships with the conservative side, the Republican side, to where eventually over years, people start to know, like, and trust me. because again, I wanted to make sure that the residents I served, especially in urban areas, had access to these elected officials and to these parties or whatever to make conversations happen. To where over time, same thing. The more you're involved, the more you volunteer, you do these things, you get in positions where people start to put credibility on your name, and then people eventually say, "Hey, you talk to Danavan." So now I have various candidates on the Republican side, being directed to me over time. And some of these individuals end up becoming elected officials in various ways, And so I've done campaigns for district attorneys, general session judges, chancellery court judges and clerks, at the minimum, part of like school board conversations. And it really crossed the barriers of parties and really just jumped into skill sets and value. And so I have, the left side of the collage is mostly Democratic activities I was participating in. The right side of the collage goes into the conservative side. And I see there's a picture in here where the Democratic Party, when I was elected official, flew me to Oakland, California, paid for my trip and all that, for me to go through a 4-day criminal justice reform training to help district attorneys get elected that were focused on criminal justice reform. And as I crossed aisles, and a few years later, I was invited and paid for, from the conservative side, for me to go on a 4-day trip in Chicago, Illinois, to learn the process and become more aware of school choice, where individuals or parents had the ideas for what school choice is, for parents to have an option to go to a school that's outside of their zoned school district. So basically, the parents would be able to take their child to another school that's outside of their zoned school. You can, with school choice, you're able to go to any school indirectly and take your tax dollars that pay for the student to the other school to pay for their education, if you will. It's another conversation, but ended up building relationships again with the local to federal level with elected officials, House representatives, state senators, judges, district attorneys, federal House representatives, and just being there at the table based upon me building and maintaining those relationships. So at this point, keep in mind, I've built a lot of relationships. By the end of the collage, respectfully, I'm probably one of the go-to non-elected officials and really non-community organizers that elected officials and government agencies would reach out to when it comes to their community engagement in local areas, urban areas of Tennessee. So some things I wanted to just throw out to you as far as what I've taken out of my experience is, one, when I started, I was not experienced or really aware of most things when it came to civics. I didn't know things like campaigning overall. I didn't, let's see, for example, campaigning. For example, you really want to maximize your real estate with your campaign sign. What do I mean by that? A lot of times people want to put their picture on the campaign sign, which is cool, but that's a lot of real estate that you could be using to really expand your name, because it's going to be your name that people remember to vote when it comes to voting. And so even though we have a headshot up there, or people want to see our face, or we want, as a candidate, we want to see our face, that indirectly does not help you when it comes to recognition of and voting. Or you want to make sure that you're picking colors that can be seen at night. So even though the colors that you created and the design that you created could be seen, it looks good during the day, how does that sign look at night? As a sign, as a form of advertising. And I'm bringing up a sign because you want to maximize your real estate space on your sign. You want to make sure that your sign can be seen and recognized even in the evening. So these are just one of the many things I learned when it came to campaigning, things like the runoff and how that worked, and splitting the vote, how that worked. A story that I can remember when I ran for city council, I got called to what I thought was a campaign debate. And when I arrived to what I thought was a campaign debate, It was a building, and the building was empty. There's only a few cars, and I had my children with me, some of my campaign team members. I'm like, what's going on? I thought we had a debate going on. We go into the meeting, and it's a private meeting, private enough to where the people that invited me did not want really my campaign team to really be in to listen on what was said. But ultimately, the conversation was about me pretty much considering to drop out of the race because I would be splitting the votes. I didn't know what none of that stuff meant. So they're saying, hey, if you run, nobody knows who you are. You're going to split the votes. We don't really want to run off. So if you drop out now, we can, work with you and keep you a part of the process. But at this time, again, when I'm getting told this at this private meeting, my campaign team was not there like that. My campaign manager was not there like that. I let the people know, like, well, as of now, this is something I would have to discuss with my team. But I can tell you off the bat, I don't plan on dropping out. I'm not focused on a runoff. I'm not focused on splitting any votes. I want to go out there. I want to run. My team and people have already financially supported me. We're doing all these things. And so if they don't agree with it, I'm not going to drop out. And is this a situation where, because I didn't know, I just saw the movies and stuff, so I didn't know. I said, well, is this a situation where like I have to look over my shoulder? Is my car going to explode? If I turn my car on, I have a wife and children. What does this look like? How deep does this go? And they just kind of chuckle like, no, it's not that serious. But we do want, we wanted you to drop out so we can make sure we get certain people in office, if you will. And that's just, and it wasn't nothing like deep behind the scene. It's just a region that of movers and shakers that, had a focus. And here I come out of nowhere. They didn't know who I was and anything like that. So here I come. When I put my name on the ballot, a lot of people that were native of that area couldn't quite understand what was going on. And eventually I had several people come to me weeks later, maybe even months later, and apologize for, asking me to drop out the race and trying to discourage me to drop out the race. They didn't need to, they said, we don't need to discourage, especially young adults, to drop out and lose their fire because that's the future. So the fact that you stood your ground and you kept going shows a lot about, your character, who you are as a person, and has given me more respect for you. And so that was a situation that I went through. Other challenges that I had to learn were the various government agencies. So first of all, campaigning, the runoff, keywords like runoffs and splitting the votes and learn those languages was new to me. Then the various government agencies, I had to learn that process. And, each agency has its own culture, its own style. And you have to build relationships with all the agencies, if you will, to really make sure your community has a good opportunity of getting things done and resources. It's all about who you know and how you treat folks. The various branches of government was not aware of how those things worked. The local to federal government, what did that look like? How did that work? What did the local elected officials have the power to do? What did the state elected officials have the power to do? What did the federal elected officials have the power to do? Because a lot of times I learned people want this, that, and the third, and they're arguing with a candidate or elected official, and that candidate or elected official is not someone that makes those decisions. So I had to be aware of how these things work. Registering voters and the voter registration process, all those things, are things that I had to learn. And as I got deeper into my elected official position, I was really getting a lot of great training, but it was from one side. It was from one perspective. And I knew that there were two major parties in America's political process. And so I wanted to make sure I was able to cross that aisle. And so going from one brand where people knew me and walking into a new brand by myself, unannounced, and just saying, hey, I want to build a relationship for the communities that I serve, that was an experience for both the Democratic side and also for those that were Republican, if you will, saying, you coming from where and you want to do what? What's really going on? So that was an experience. And so I had to really learn how to walk on my own with the support of those that were on the journey with me, supporting this candidate to statesman journey. And really, I grew thicker skin. I built great relationships with people to where they wanted me to be the liaison. They wanted me to be the community engager, the community specialist. But once I crossed that aisle and started building those relationships, I had people saying, block me, everything you could think of. Block me, I don't want to talk to you no more. You're switching up, to the point where, I had to get thick skin and keep my mind focused on, the task at hand. But what that did was, through the challenges, it also helped me to push forward, get stronger, get more courageous in who I was, because it's about getting, again, those young adults involved in the civics process. I really feel like if you don't have the next generation getting training, how do you sustain? How do you move forward? All you're going to do is have people going up and down. You have the generation going up, and without the training or the next leadership, you're going back down. And then without the leadership, people see the challenges, so they go back up because they want to make a change, but then they don't have a predecessor, or they don't have a successor that can help take it to the next level, the next generation, if you will. So all of the challenges that I went through was because my focus was on getting more young adults, especially in urban areas, lower income working communities, involved in the civics process, which required me and gave me a great opportunity to be a bridge of communication between parties at the minimum. And a fun fact, from my understanding, the first party or political parties were created through President George Washington's cabinet, because when he became the president, there were no political parties, and he brought various perspectives and advisors and people to join his staff from various walks of life and various perspectives, so we can have a full 360-degree angle of perspectives and opinions. And what happened was, as he brought all these minds together from various backgrounds and walks of life, everyone had their own perspective and opinion that really couldn't see eye to eye. So it was his cabinet members that actually created the first parties, if you will, because they just couldn't see eye to eye, if you will. And this side felt maybe it was more strategic and more valuable to do this, while this side felt to do that. So, being that bridge and communication gap between parties when you have people that don't see eye to eye is a skill and a opportunity that I enjoy. I want to see unification. I want to see how I can bridge those gaps. And that's going to require people to, starting with myself, to exercise emotional intelligence during the civic process. And I feel like with my emotional intelligence that I've used, I've been able to, without challenge, if you will, build great relationships with both parties and putting in work for both parties. And so I just have some pictures here of just some of my work in the past, working with, these pictures here, I believe majority of people here are conservatives. I have the chairperson for the Republican Party for a particular county I took a picture with. I have a picture here with the former governor of Tennessee. I have a picture with, during the making of this video, the state House representative and the House representative's wife, taking a picture along with my wife. A former U.S. Congress House representative from a different state came to town, had a chance to build great relationships with him and move forward, and as well as various, I would say not operatives, I don't want to say operative, the bad choice of words, but various advocates of a political party and candidates that were running for office. And again, the beautiful thing is, the longer you're doing this, when those candidates are running for office and they're trusting people of how to get them to where they want to be, and those people that they're trusting say, hey, get with Danavan, those candidates automatically put respect on your name. I'm just telling you. And so, even though I could still be learning. And so it was a great experience as far as recognizing those challenges and recognizing those opportunities. Okay. So let's talk about some of the weaknesses that I recognized in the civics and political process, and some of the threats. So most elected officials, agencies, and candidates wait until there is a need to build working relationships in the community. I can't stress that enough. I've done several article reviews, video, and podcast on examples of people wanting to build working relationships for the first time when campaign season is coming up, or when you're in campaign season, or when there is a challenge that arises and you want to get buy-in. To me, waiting to the last minute or when activities like campaigning or challenges pop up to get buy-in is not the best approach, because you want your work to really speak for itself, and you want your work to be spoken about on behalf of other residents. And you selling, if you will, especially during campaign season or during challenging times, makes your job a little harder based on perspectives. And so if you really want to edge and to stand out, you definitely want to start building those relationships early, volunteering and donating your time and talent early, and make it a lifestyle. Don't just say, just don't say, I'm just getting started, or this is why I'm doing it. Make it a lifestyle as early as you can. Build those relationships as early as you can. Most elected officials, agencies, and candidates forget to talk with residents and to ask questions and for feedback. What I mean by that, and I did this early in my campaign experience, where I'm talking about what I can do and what I can accomplish and what I have done to put myself in this position. And I feel like a lot of times it was about me. I feel like what one person can do is create some type of booklet of your agenda, of the issues you want to tackle and all those things. So that way you can always hand those booklets out at any point, either digitally through your website, or when you go to activities, have those booklets printed out and ready to go. And then when you're having an opportunity to speak, you can now say, hey, check out my booklet. Everything is there that you need to see. What questions do you have for me? You want to give the opportunity for those constituents to talk to you so they can make educated decision quickly, and really, if this is their first impression with you, as best they can, by allowing them to speak and ask questions and to provide feedback to them, and they provide feedback to you. That's the essence of a working relationship, and those are the ways that you build buy-in with constituents. And one thing I learned when it comes to those are weaknesses for candidates or elected officials. You don't want to wait till the last minute to build working relationships, and you want to focus on the candidates. I mean, with the constituents. So again, let's say you're a candidate and they're saying, okay, we're going to give you the floor to speak. Hey, y'all, thank you for allowing me to be here. Talk about your personal, your husband, wife, or father or mother, or whatever it looks like, why you ran for office, what you kind of brought to the table, and direct them to your booklet, if you will, and open the floor up quickly for what questions do you have for me? Because if you only have 5 minutes, you can jump into a Q&A and have 3 minutes left, you're automatically going to stand out compared to the other people, other candidates who talk about me, go over the time. So they're ringing the bell to stop talking. They're still talking. You sound no different than anyone else. And something to keep in mind as well is most registered voters, I'll say that again, most of the registered voters do not vote as of now. And I want to say through my experience, I would say about 10% of the registered voters out there actually vote. And that's me going through a campaign myself and me participating in promoting campaigns. And for example, 25,000 registered voters, by the time the election's over, you only had 2,500 vote. So all of this extra stuff that we're doing, all this extra pressure, it's cool, but always keep in mind that it's just a very small number of people that actually vote. So when you're moving forward and doing what you're supposed to do, keep those things in mind as far as the current weaknesses. The threats that I see at this point, challenges in civics and politics can come from many directions, including tribal, neighborhood, and city and state. I'm sorry, tribal, neighborhood, city, state, national, international, and I would say galactic situations. And I'll say that again. Challenges in civics and in politics can come from many directions to include tribal, neighborhood, city, state, national, international, and galactic situations. And I say galactic because, you never know. I'm not, as left field, trust me when I say that. I know America created Space Force, so law of possibilities, all things are possible. The most important thing is to make sure that you're always keeping a level head and you stay diplomatic. That is your role as an elected official. That is your role as a leader. And so a possible threat is always having or using actions that don't put you in a position to be seen and act as a diplomat. Very important for you to do that. And always make sure that you keep a cool and level head. Residents are going to come to you and bring all kind of questions, bring all kind of animosity or tough experience to you because they're used to that type of culture where the elected official is not seen as doing anything. So when they talk to you, they're going to have an attitude with you, but don't take it personal. Don't take it personal at all. And keep in mind, as far as threats, media and communication platforms make local. Well, and that's the thing. Media and communication platforms make local engagement harder because these media platforms help shape the narrative faster than word of mouth. And what I mean by that is some people have enough money or enough influence to get the media or various communications platforms to back them in what they're doing. And so that could be a positive thing, or if they don't want you around, they can utilize and leverage those platforms to go against you. And those platforms, as far as the speed of communication, could always go out faster than word of mouth because usually word of mouth is based on individual perspective, and it takes each individual to open their mouth and to advocate or to speak compared to a large communication platform like a radio or television or social media where they can put something out there and it gets out to the masses quickly. And so I just have some more supporting supporting pictures in this slide of me going to various conservative activities and building those strong relationships. The bottom left of this picture here, of this slide here, is a Democratic Party event that I helped organize in a underserved community, and a lot of those that come from developed communities or higher income communities came down to engage with the lower income community residents. And it was just great to see the unification. The common goal was the Democratic Party, but again, overseeing and serving as the regional vice chair, I was able to break a lot of barriers and it created value. I have a picture there, top right of this slide, of my first hosting of a city council meeting for the district. And again, I built a relationship with the council member to the point where eventually I was helping him plan and organize his council meetings, as well as hosting the meeting and just making sure that we went through the agenda in a timely manner. And so that allowed me, again, to get in front of residents of that district and build those relationships if I wanted to run for office again or in the future, because they started to know my face, ask me questions, and I served as a liaison, if you will. I also have a picture here with the late Thelma Harper, and she is the former state senator for Tennessee and the district that I resided in. And so again, this is not just pictures where I meet you for the first time. I get a picture. I mean, I've really built some really great relationships with people that helped to influence and leverage other relationships as I moved forward. So let's talk about some of the solutions I feel and expertise that I can bring to the table. Solutions I feel are available. Now, solutions and expertise, first of all, being insight. And that's ultimately helping you, or you need to think about creating a strategic plan. Think about how to, or what I bring to the table is helping to create a strategic plan and basically a thought out direction of how to move forward. As far as insight, asking questions to receive a diverse opinion designed for win-win opportunities is always the best case. What I mean by that is when you're talking with folks as a candidate, as an elected official, have a consultant mindset where you are asking questions and able to take in diverse opinions to make people feel like they're heard, and you're going to put yourself in a better win-win position as if you're trying to tell someone or push someone or sell someone. Definitely, you want to have access access to local community leaders, business leaders, to the media as well. If you're running for office, or if you're organizing, or if you're looking to become a statesperson for your community. And if you're an elected official, these are things that you're going to automatically have access to, because community leaders have to come to you, business leaders have to come to you, the media is going to work with you. You get first dibs when it comes to priority information and news. And so if you are looking to start that journey, you can start building relationships again and developing that access with local community leaders, business leaders, and the media. And in my case, resources, I know I have access to various skilled, diverse consultants that can help in the civics process. I want to shout out my man, Leland Evans. Leland Evans is a political consultant. He's worked on various campaigns throughout the state of Tennessee and around the country of the United States of America. Young mover and shaker, African-American, friend of mine. And he has a nonprofit organization that focuses on educating young adults in the political process, has a cool interactive activity book for young adults to do crossword puzzles and coloring and various things that will help stimulate their mind and educate them on the political process. He even has a bus that he drives to or gets driven to various community activities where you can go into the bus and do different type of activities where you can learn and engage in the civic process. And then there's different activities on the outside of the bus that you can do, drawing and other things that, again, help you to engage in the civic process. So implementing these solutions through my years of experience and conversations definitely want to help you just avoid various challenges that you may go through, that you may not be aware of, that you're going to go through. That insight is so important. Just making sure that you know who you need to talk to, and so that and build that trust, get people to know, like, and trust you is so important as well. So you want to always make sure that you have someone that you're working with that has experience to help you shorten any or decrease challenges that you may have. Also to make sure that that you're building an opportunity for them to know, like, and trust you in that case. And really you want to get to a point where people are putting or advocating for you even when you're not there, when they mention your name. And so implementing those solutions of really engaging the community early is so, so important. You want to stay engaged in those activities. If you don't have any resources, you definitely want to start, again, if you don't have those resources, find out what resources you need and start to reach out to folks to build those working relationships to move forward. Now, you'll know when you're making headway with engagement when you are starting to schedule opportunities to meet with potential supporters or new friends. You definitely want to create, if you're a candidate, elected official or something, a monthly or quarterly newsletter just to keep the people that you're starting to meet in the loop and on their mind. And so the number of new people that you have subscribing to your newsletter is always a big thing. You definitely want to stay engaged in activities. So basically the number of appointments you're meeting with new friends and supporters, the number of people that you are now having to subscribe to your newsletter, the number of activities that you're going to in the community and capturing those results through video and pictures, and the number of people that you're now adding to what I would call customer relationship management system is so important to monitor and measure your growth. And so at this point, definitely want you to keep up with me and my work. I created the YouTube video, Vote for Danavan Hylton, when I was running for office and running for city council. And I decided to keep that video up because I knew that once I finished my campaign, that my journey would not end. And so all my videos have just been a testament and progression of my journey, of my civic process. And so I really would love for you to subscribe and follow that YouTube channel, Vote for Danavan Hylton, to stay up to date. And just some of the major lessons that I learned for you to take away real quick is don't take information at face value. You got to be a critical thinker, and you have to use emotional intelligence when you are thinking. Therefore, patience is key, and you want to avoid arguments and challenges at all costs. Most registered voters, what I've learned, do not vote. So keep that in mind as you're out there working hard, knocking on doors. You want to, again, start campaigning early. Just make community engagement your lifestyle, and you want to participate in as many activities as you can. You want to volunteer your time and talent on various committees and groups to be able to build those relationships and to let people know that you are willing to do work. Again, you want to attend those activities rarely, and while you're doing it, capture plenty of videos and pictures and make sure you're networking with people and following up. And always keep in mind, like myself when I first started, and maybe you as well, most people are not really aware of the civics process. So your job is to not only engage, but to become an educator in this process as well. And so there's my information there. If you are looking to connect with me through email, ld.hylton, Hylton, at ldadvising.com. We're an advisory firm to help provide insight, access, and resources to business, community, and government leaders. So that's my email address there. You can find me on LinkedIn at Danavan Hylton, or feel free to reach out to me at the office. I appreciate my experience during my civic journey, and Lord willing, I don't see it stopping anytime soon until I become a senior advisor to multinational leaders, business leaders, and government leaders, hopefully and hopefully and soon to be in African diaspora countries, as well as throughout the United States of America. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out. Love to get your thoughts. I would love to answer any questions you may have, and wishing you the best as we all move forward in life.